And welcome into a Monday edition of the Backstage Pass, always live and in living color after about 10 days off. Enjoyed a vacation. Now we're back at it here for a fresh set of shows coming up over the next few weeks. Brandon Morrill here as we're presented by our good friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. Check them out, bangtail.com or easyliquor.com. Also, our good friends at MitchMacs.com, the official merchandise provider of the Backstage Pass. And, of course, Hank Jr. Productions. Pleased to welcome in here on a Monday at the 4 o'clock hour, one of the all-time greats, Grammy-nominated, multiple ACM nominations, Nashville recording artist David Nail to the program. David, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you being a part of it. Hey, let's talk about this. We're talking a little bit backstage, but you guys have just kicked off the Boot Heel Unplugged Tour, February of 2022. You were mentioning a little bit before the show how that's going. You guys are now in Florida and some other stops on the way, but it must feel good to be back on stage, right?
Yeah, it does. Obviously I think I don't think it's something that we ever took for granted by any means, but I think anytime you stop something for more or less a year, I guess probably a year and a half before we got somewhat playing regularly, I think that you realize just how important it is, obviously, as a profession, but just how much you miss it, how much of it is a core of who you are. And this is all I've ever wanted to do. And it's all I've done pretty much my entire adult life. So anytime something like that gets taken away, I think it kind of reminds you of just how fortunate you've been.
Tell me about these last two projects. For you guys, last November was Boot Heel 2021. Great collection of songs you guys put out there. Kind of just previously releasing Boot Heel 2020. I know that's that region of Missouri, which was very close to your hometown and very near and dear to your heart. Talk about both projects, how some were similar, different, the selection of songs that went on each EP, and what a great body of work you guys put out there.
Well, it was one of those things where, again, I hate to keep bringing up COVID, but COVID kind of dictated what we were doing. I'd come off putting this EP out, the Oh Mother EP, and I really enjoyed it. And just the whole process, I felt like it fit my personality, only putting out a few songs at a time, but trying to put a few of those projects out a year. And so we'd really had the intention of not only working more on the road, but putting out more music. And then when COVID happened, I still really felt like that it would allow us the opportunity to just be in the studio. But really all the musicians, they kind of shut down with everybody else. And so it was hard to find people that were willing to do stuff. We kind of had to find people who had the ability to do things in their own house and send it to you via email or files and all that mess, which is way over my head. And so the timeline didn't allow us the opportunity to put out as much as we would have liked to. And so towards the end of 2020, I had a few songs that I had started before the madness kind of began, and I just decided to put those out as kind of like hey, this is such a 2020 thing, put this out with like no fanfare, no really promotion or anything. And then when it came time for 2021, I had this collection of songs, and I was like, I could probably do two of these and kind of pair them together, because they were all songs that kind of related back to where I grew up or how I grew up. And so when it came time for the second one, it was really kind of turnkey because most of the songs were already done, and it was just a matter of kind of figuring out which ones we wanted to release and how and when we wanted to do it.
When you look at those great songs you guys put out, great 90s country era into the early 2000s, and that great, what I call now the Sirius XM, I say prime country, and of course, even the Y2K country that's out there right now. Let It Rain, Whatever She's Got, Red Light, Kiss You Tonight. You think about all those hits and just some great songwriters, yourself included, to put out records like that, songs that stand the test of time, that'll live on in infamy for many years to come for country music fans. Tell me just about something special that made those songs. I guess when you guys kind of got those, wrote those, got in the studio, did you kind of feel like you had something special with each title track?
I feel like that all the songs I recorded, they all hold a special place in my heart. I feel like a lot of artists, refer to songs as their children. You know, you're not really allowed to have favorites. But every once in a while, one kind of sticks out to you, or you might have a favorite for a day or so. But that's kind of how I've always looked at them. It's just like, hey, these all have an important place. They all served a purpose. They all were, picked for a specific reason. Here this last weekend, I think it's because we were playing so close to home, and I knew I was going to know so many people in the crowd. I went back through every record and picked out a song per record that we had not been doing recently, or really probably for a while, years, and we worked those up, and it was a lot of fun. And then of course that just kind of got me all nostalgic, and now I'm kind of going through it again, saying, well, is there another one you can kind of add? But it's really kind of made the shows feel, well, it's reminiscent with the old songs. It kind of makes the sets feel new all over again. So it's been fun. But, I feel like that, the records I've made, they all kind of represent pretty much where I was at that period of time. And as I've gotten older, obviously, probably some of the subject matter has gotten a little bit more serious, or a little bit more personal to my particular situation, my life, my personality. I have kids now, so I think that, with that, I think subconsciously it kind of changed the way I record. People ask me when I had kids, they're like, man, does it change the way you write? Does it change the way you sing, or all this stuff? And I didn't really feel that different, but I think subconsciously it has, without really over the top changing.
One of the key things in this industry, and I watch it every year on the major awards shows, CMA and HCMs, is the collaborations with some of the best artists out there. You see the Ashley McBride and the Luke Combs and Carly Pierce, people that are doing well and on top of their game now. You've also done that in your career, David, when you've had those collaborations, Miranda Lambert, Brothers Osborne, Vince Gill, the names go on and on. That's so important and such a huge, huge part of the industry. Talk to me about collaboration just with some of the best artists at the top of their game too.
I think that for me, I think when I started in the business, you saw it sporadically, but you didn't really see it as much as when I started. I felt like, I'm fans of all these artists, and I wanted them to be a part of it. I wanted them to be a part of specific songs to make what I hope to make the song better. And I know there's a lot of people that have made a living, singing background music. They're phenomenal singers, and not everybody can sing harmony. Not everybody can, do duets or do featuring parts, or they don't want to, or they don't choose to. So, but I always felt like, well, these people are the best artists in the world, and I'm fans of theirs. So how can I incorporate them into the records? And so really every specific incident, with the exception of the Miranda, there was a different song Miranda had wanted to sing on my record, but I really wanted her to be a part of Strangers on the Train. Obviously, the lyric just supports it, so they're kind of being another person there singing with you. So that was really the only one where it wasn't, kind of, I guess, assumed that there would be somebody. It was just a matter of finding who it was going to be. And but yeah, it's something that I always want to do, and I feel like now it's like out of control. Like everybody's partnering up with everybody, and it seems like every song's not necessarily a duet, but a lot of these young cats out there now, they're writing all these songs together. So it's just like, well, hey man, like if might as well have you sing on it if we wrote it. And it just seems like but I love it. I think that it's a lot of artists, I feel like, have kind of broken out of some of those opportunities, and have careers because of some of those opportunities. So I think it's super cool for, somebody that's maybe a little bit more established to have somebody be a part of it, knowing that, hey, they're sharing the limelight rather than taking it all themselves.
Love it too. It's such an important part of the industry, no doubt. And I tell you, one of the cool things I remember in your career, I'm a huge baseball fan. In fact, I just got back from Arizona down at spring training and was watching a number of teams out there. I go back to that 2011 World Series, Rangers, Cardinals. Anybody knows you love the Cardinals from Missouri right there too. Tell me about God Bless America. Game 7 of the World Series, national television audience, people watching, baseball fanfare, the baseball's biggest series of all. Do you remember like it was yesterday?
Yeah, only because right before I sat down to do this, I was watching Albert Pujols' interview. He's from the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So I was getting all nostalgic because when I went to spring training the last time with the Cardinals, he was still there. So it's been that long. But it was such a business thing at the time because I remember I was out on the road with Taylor Swift doing some acoustic stuff before her shows, and the opportunity came, and we were at one point, I think in the beginning, we were going to be a replacement, and then for somebody that had a scheduling conflict, and then because of some rainouts, that person that they had initially asked could actually do the performance, and so we kind of got kicked out. But the travel had already been arranged, and I think that they were just like, well, hey, you're a fan, just come on, and I guess if something happens, you'll be here. And then I think a couple of days later, they called us and they said, hey, we feel really bad. Could you do God Bless America? Which, in my opinion, is a way easier song to sing and way less pressure. The seventh inning stretch, obviously everybody kind of joins in and sings that with you. And so they had done military for the seventh inning stretch, every game except for that. And so we actually flew in early for game 6 and got to watch game 6, which that was the real historic game. That was so out of control. The lead changed and they were down to the last strike twice, came back. And so there were so many moments where I was like, man, I'm not going to get to do this. What a bummer. And so you're looking at it from like you said, like a national television audience, what an opportunity and all that stuff, instead of like, holy cow, this is my favorite team. And so it was super weird. Like part of me is like, holy cow, I want my Cardinals to win, but I also selfishly want this opportunity. And so the best thing about it was game 7, they jumped out to an early lead. And I remember I was pacing so much. They actually had us in seats, and I kept getting up and pacing, and I knew I was going to have a beer before just to settle my nerves. And so I kept trying to, strategically try to figure out when to have the beer. And I remember when they took us down underneath the stadium, and I could hear the crowd just going crazy, and I knew that it was good. And so when they really kind of ushered me out on the field, I knew that the game was in our favor. And I just remember getting through it and looking over. And at that point, I had developed a relationship with Tony La Russa, and I looked over at him and gave him a fist pump, and he gave me a fist pump back. And then I went up into a suite and watched the rest of the game. And I remember Frank Thomas was trying to talk to me, and I looked at him and I said, look, I'm not trying to be rude, but like, I'm actually a Cardinal fan, so I kind of want to watch this game. And he just looked at me like, what? No one's ever said that to me before. They don't want to talk to me. But it was just one of those things where my duties were done. I was ready to have fun and cut loose.
That's the way baseball season. Thank God it's back, and we're gonna be seeing that coming up here, April 7th, opening day here for all of our respective teams out there. We'll come back. A couple of more quick questions with David Nail here on the Backstage Pass. Right now, a word from Bangtail Whiskey and of course MitchMacs. Hang tight. We're coming right back.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
And back here on the program again, it's Nashville recording artist David Nail here on a Monday, back as we can resume the live shows over the next few weeks, of course, and some great shows coming up here presented by Bangtail Whiskey, MitchMacs.com, and our good friends over at Hank Jr. Productions. Let me ask you about this. We've got a couple of minutes. I know there's a hard out today. You've got some other commitments, so definitely we'll have to catch up with you later on down the line. But tell me about this one with yourself and the Well Ravens, with Andrew Petrov and Jason Hall. That debut album you guys put out September 18 was fantastic. I love the title and the selection of songs that were on there too at the same time. Just working with two great talented guys, and Andrew and Jason, to put out such a great album. Tell me about that project.
Well, I had just left Universal, and I didn't know exactly what the next step was going to be. And I really kind of felt like everybody expected it to be something really kind of like what the Boot Heel was, just really acoustic, laid back, very intimate stuff. And so I think subconsciously there was a huge part of me that was like, you know, well, I want to do something different. I want to do something different, and I want to do something that people don't expect. And but I still didn't assume that it was going to be then. Jason's a fantastic engineer and a producer, and Andrew's the same thing, but he also plays a lot of different instruments. And so I got the idea to, hey, what if we like got 3 days and just saw what happened? And so it was the coolest experience I've ever had as far as making music. I mean, we literally met in the morning, and Andrew would play some lick on a guitar or play some vibe he had like sort of created, and I would just write on the fly, like, and then jump into the studio and sing it, so I didn't forget it. And that's literally how the songs were born. I mean, we wrote them and recorded them simultaneously, and it was so much fun because you got everybody pulling their own weight, and you don't want to be the one that's letting down the ship. And so it was a lot of fun, man. I've actually in the last couple of weeks really I had it, but I wanted to reach out to them because I'd love to do something like that again because it was so different. And I know a lot of people kind of thought, man, Nail's going through a midlife crisis to sound so different, but I promise that it just happened so organically there wasn't a big deal.
Well, I love it, man. And I tell you, hey, we'll end on this one again. Boot Heel 2021's out there across all the digital platforms. Make sure you go stream it out there or get your copy wherever you actually get your music. Fantastic album. Love the song Raising You and St. Louis off there too, telling some great stories with some great music on there. Let's do a little quick rapid fire here. What's David Nail's kind of go-to beverage when he's having one of those rough days? And what's kind of a go-to food? Do you like to cook?
I enjoy cooking. I wouldn't cook for anybody else, but I do enjoy it. I'm a big fish. I love a lot of seafood. So we live right down the street from a grocery store. Scott always has a lot of really great fish, fresh fish. And so I'll go down there and pick something out and just try to bake it, try not to ruin it. I'm grilling and frying and stuff. I can ruin it. So bacon's pretty easy, pretty safe. My drink, man, if it's been a long day, there's nothing I love more than just a big pour of red wine. It kind of has a tendency to mellow you out, and kind of, especially after the kids have had a wild day, the red wine can kind of just calm everything down.
Nothing wrong with that, brother. Well, I tell you what, hey, just great success going forward, great success in the career. Congratulations on all the awards and the recognitions and the nominations. I know we had to cut it short today. You've got other commitments, and always try to stand by those. Thanks to Jessica and Zach Farnham over at 117 for setting everything up. David, enjoy the chat, my friend. Boot Heel 2021 is out there across all the digital platforms. And, hey, feel free to come back anytime and talk more about the David Nail music going forward. Good luck on the tour, and we appreciate you being with us, my friend.
I appreciate it, and I apologize for having to cut out of here early, but I was late. I didn't have the proper software, and then and then I've got to take my little girl. I take her every Monday night to her gymnastics, so we got to leave here at 4:45. So I apologize. I'll come back anytime and stay longer.
Well, I appreciate you. We'll definitely do that and set that up through the great team over at 117. I just became a father, so I know those commitments are big up there too. And my daughter's going to be 2 years old coming up this week too. We got a birthday party, and when they say 3 o'clock, it's like the wife wants to start things at 3 o'clock. So definitely appreciate the time. The great David Nail here on the program again. Boot Heel 2021 is out there across all the digital platforms. Good luck to her in the gymnastics competition, and definitely we'd love to have you back. Thanks to Bangtail Whiskey, MitchMacs and Hank Jr. Productions for making it happen. Also, don't forget tomorrow, a special show, Wade Hayes and Rick Trevino here on the program together. At the same time, we're giving away a couple of passes, VIP, and, of course, meet and greet and seating to the show coming up in San Antonio, Texas at Pedrati's Ranch this Saturday, April 2nd. Trivia questions announced tonight on the Backstage Pass Facebook page and our partner, Full Circle Moments, out of Kerrville, Texas. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the Backstage Pass with Rick Trevino and Wade Hayes. Until then, we'll talk to you guys then. Have a great night.